In their latest mock drafts, they do not have Shedeur Sanders in the first round. That said, Ryan Wilson, Emory Hunt, by the way, Emory Hunt might be the president of the Shedeur Sanders fan club here. They have Ryan Wilson, or excuse me, they have Shedeur Sanders going 3rd overall to the Giants. If you want to check out the rest of their 7-round mock, download With the First Pick podcast. There's been a lot of discussion about what the Saints' new head coach Kellen Moore should do with the 9th overall pick. Many would like to see them take a quarterback, but as our Jonathan Jones told us yesterday, if you're waiting for that, keep waiting. And the odds for the Saints to take a quarterback, they have gotten longer. They were plus 250. Now they are plus 340. They're looking to take maybe the odds. The favorite is a D-line or edge player or also an offensive lineman as well. Saints 7-round mock, Ryan Wilson, Josh Edwards, Ted McMillan, wide receiver, going 9th to them. And then Tyler Shough, quarterback, in the 6th round. Speaking of Tyler Shough, all it takes is one team to fall in love with a quarterback to draft him, and Ryan Wilson says, as crazy as it may be, Tyler Shough out of Oregon State may very well go in the first round. There are several teams several other names ahead of him, like Kyle McCord, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, not to mention the Shedeur Sanders and Cam Wards of the world. But the rumor mill on Shough is starting to spin. So let's welcome in our draft expert, Ryan Wilson here. Tyler Shough, clear the air for us. Where's this guy going to go?
Amanda, you make fun of me along with everyone else that works with us for falling in love with all these kids. Not a huge Tyler Shough fan in terms of him being a first-round pick, but it feels like that is gaining momentum. You talked about the rumor mill there. I thought day 2 maybe best case scenario, but there's a scenario where perhaps he sneaks into the back of the first round ahead of Jackson Dart. He would be potentially QB3. I don't think he's going to be QB2 ahead of Cam and Shedeur. But every team that I talk to likes Tyler Shough a lot, in part because he's tall, he's athletic, he moves well in the pocket, he has a huge arm, and when I say he's played a ton of football, that is not an exaggeration. He is literally year 7 this last season at Louisville, started at Oregon, transferred to Texas Tech, and then ended up at Louisville. He's only a 1-year starter, so that's a concern in terms of trying to project what that looks like at the next level. But he suffered 24 drops, so he can be accurate. He throws the ball pretty well down the field. I just have concerns about him being a first-round pick as a 1-year starter. And oh, by the way, Amanda, he will be 26 during his rookie season, so that's also a concern if you care at all about age and your quarterback.
So a lot of wear and tear on him, and a lot of wear and tear on the next guy we want to talk about, running back Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State. And that does kind of concern you, Ryan, but there are some teams out there looking for a running back. It's a deep class. Potentially, where could he go?
He could be a day 2 guy, and he has earned that because he is a bulldozer. He is probably the toughest kid in this draft class. In terms of the toughness, he's the first overall pick. In terms of the wear and tear that we're talking about, it feels more like a day 3 situation, only because how long can you do that as a human being, running into guys who weigh 250 to 300 pounds 17 times a year on every Sunday? And again, this is the way he plays, and he's played this way his entire football career, going back to Sacramento State before he transferred to ASU. He was the dude at Arizona State. And Amanda, somehow he got better in that Texas game after he threw up. That's how good of a football player Cam Skattebo is. My only concern, and this is literally it, because we see him throw touchdown passes, catch touchdown passes, and certainly run the football, is how long can he do it at a sustained level. That's why I like him more as a 4th-round pick. But if you told me he went in the 2nd round or the 3rd round, I could totally get behind that because of how important he was to what the Sun Devils did the last few years.
Talking about draft stock for some notable players, one more guy we want to talk about, defensive lineman Mike Green out of Marshall. And you've told me before this is a top 15 talent. However, there are some off-the-field issues here. How seriously are teams taking those, and how far could he fall?
Some teams are okay with what they found out in terms of the investigations they do, and teams spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, to figure out who these young men are because they are investing millions of dollars into their futures for the next 4 or 5 years. And like I mentioned, and as you just talked about there, Amanda, he's a top 15 pick if you watch him play. There's no player 60 snaps a game who plays with as much passion and hair on fire approach to edge rush as Mike Green. Started out at UVA, had to leave there because of a concern, same issue in high school. But as I mentioned, some teams are not concerned with it at the level that some other teams are. So maybe he doesn't go top 10, and Chicago Bears feel like a good landing spot if we're just talking strictly on-field productivity. Maybe he lasts until the 20s and goes a little later and has to make that money up on a second contract, for example. But the other young man that has some on-field concerns that plays edge rusher and is a top 15 talent is James Pierce Jr. I know a lot of teams have him off their boards. Mike Green, there's a little more variability in terms of how teams feel about him from one team to the next. So 20 feels about the range where we might hear his name called. If he went a little earlier, that's just an indication that a team was okay with what they found during the pre-draft process.
Ryan, 2 days until the draft. Tell us what we can expect in the next 48 hours or so on With the First Pick podcast.
It feels like 24-hour coverage, Amanda, with the first pick. So you can check it out wherever you get your podcast or turn on HQ, and you'll likely see my face along with Rand Carthon's face if that's sort of your thing heading into the draft weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.